Welcome back to the series, What, Why, God, from Apathy to Questions, where we ask elders and ministers and you questions about God, important questions. And so today we have Don Avera. He has been an elder at First Colony for about 18 years. And we were talking about this, particularly about what Missy was talking about, how when she first became a Christian, she kind of got stumped and got really upset after becoming a Christian for the first time, and she didn't know what to say. And then that kind of spurred how we started talking about how that then can cause some fear about, I don't know enough, how am I going to have these conversations with people? And you know, we can go through a lifetime of trying to figure out how to do that, or just stop and not have those kinds of conversations. So we talked a little bit about that. Mm-hmm. And having had been an elder for 18 years, when you first started, you know, I'm sure there were times when you were, you know, afraid and you know, am I going to make a mistake? Am I going to say something? These people are coming to this church. Mm-hmm. And really it's, you know, we talk a lot about this, but it doesn't have to be long conversations. It's about relationships. So tell me, like, we talked a little bit about this. Tell me about how you approach that, what your approach was on that.
Well, you mentioned the key word in all of that, and that's relationships. You know, I think, you know, I guess my laid back personality is to sometimes listen more than I talk. And I think that works a lot, because if you don't know, you know, if you don't know, not necessarily the whole story, but if you don't know most of the story, I don't think you can respond properly, correctly, wisely. I think you need to know where that person is, and if you don't have some kind of relationship, if you're just coming in trying to attack a problem, I don't think there's a lot of success in that.
Yeah, we talked a little bit about that, because that fear is that you have to go in and do that attack method, right? Like you got to get them to know. And I mean, I had an uncle that was a little like that when I first became, you know, more aware as a younger kid, and he was like, you got to get saved. And I just was like, oh, what do I do with this? And so, I mean, there are certainly times for that. We talked a little bit about that, right? While we were prepping for this, in that there's a place for that with a non-relationship kind of situation. Yeah. And not to feel like you have to come in with the attack on all of that. So you ask questions.
I do, and when talking with someone about, say, becoming a Christian, you know, certainly we have conviction, but if we don't have the care, the concern, the conversation, and I was just thinking of C words, but you know, certainly the conviction is there, but giving up my age a little bit, going back to when I was very young, there were a whole lot of debates and talking to people about Christianity had a debating tone to it.
Apologetic, kind of, this is why,
Yeah, kind of, and
but kind of a forceful,
argumentative.
Argumentative, you know? That's the word I was looking for,
And I just don't think that works.
And you mentioned something too yesterday when we were kind of talking a little bit about this, and I'd asked you, well, do you think that having fear is valid? Should we feel bad because we have fear in that situation? I'm such a bad Christian because I'm afraid of this. And you said something really good, which I really appreciated. What did you say?
I think the point I made was going back to friend speak experience. You know, we have such a multicultural environment here in our area that we're not only looking at different religions, you know, we're looking at religions that are very cultural, okay? And I think that was the point that we were talking about, is that, you know, sometimes that's a greater hurdle. That's a greater hurdle than maybe talking to someone that has never heard of Jesus before.
Yeah. And I think, too, what that means, though, that from a fear being valid, in that saying, when you are in that situation, just do what you know to do.
Yeah.
Ask the question. Listen to the answers. Be the good Christian just by being laid back, as you said, by just doing the simple invite. You don't have to do a lot. So, yeah, I mean, because then you can start a relationship, which will then help to allay some of those fears once they get a little bit more open and they realize you're not there to, like, strike them down and tell them they're going to hell. Excuse my French.
Yeah. Well, and another thing I thought about driving over here is, you know, how easy is it this week for most people, I'll say most men, some women, to have a discussion about the Super Bowl. Okay? I mean, if you got two people together that watch the Super Bowl Sunday, how easy is it to talk about that? Okay? You know, how easy is it to talk about our new Texans football coach? You know, so the idea, back to the beginning of relationships, is even though your objective is either helping someone with a situational problem, or bringing someone to Christ, or reinforcing someone's belief, there are other conversational factors that make that effective, I guess is the best way to say it.
Yeah.
I think, again, going back years, you may have heard this or not, but talking back to the debating from back in the 40s and 50s mainly, but there was an expression about beating people over the head with the Bible, you know, and, you know, that just doesn't work. You know, that doesn't work anymore. And I think one of the things we talked about the other day was, you know, sharing evidence. Sean's dad and his revised book, and Lee Strobel, Case for Christ. There's so many good things out there that are so effective, but you know, there needs to be sharing instead of, I guess, lecturing.
Yeah, that's an excellent point, and that just comes to, you know, when you're sharing, and you don't know the answer, because nobody knows all the answer. In fact, we were just talking to Ronnie yesterday, and he did some Trivial Pursuit thing with a group of people, and there was a Bible question that came up, and he goes, and you know what? I got that one wrong. And we were all like shocked. How do you not know that? And, you know, I mean, it was a simple mistake, you know, I mean, it was a simple mistake. But all that to say is that doesn't matter how well you know the Bible, or that you're going to get stumped sometimes.
Yeah.
And you just don't know when that's going to happen. And so it's okay to say, you know what, that's a good question. I don't know the answer. Yeah. And not feel afraid to say, I just don't know. I'm happy to look it up. I've had a friend do that to me before, and I just was like, I don't know. I'll have to look that one up. And then I found it, and I gave it to her, and she goes, oh, okay, I get it now. So it was, you know, I mean, just say, hey, I don't know.
Many times.
We can't know all the answers. And I think when you go into a conversation, when somebody asks you, why are you a Christian, or, you know, somebody's really apathetic about it, like, I just don't care. You can say, well, you know, let's have lunch about it. Let's talk about why that, you know, and just, you know, say, well, if they see that your life is different, I think that makes all the difference too. And you and Judy are definitely, I mean, those kinds of people. No, you really are. You are cream of the crop, and we are very lucky to have you both here.
We're very blessed, yeah.
Thanks for having this discussion with me. I appreciate it.
You bet.
Hey, if you like this conversation, go ahead and share it, like it, and let us know if you have another question that you'd like us to tackle as we go through this. What? Why? God.